Hi there. I'm Tracy Huber with Del Mar Financial. I'm here with Rachel Mahaney from Red Key Realty, and
Hi.
we are going to talk about closing costs today. I think a lot of buyers are worried about that, right? As you take them out to house hunt, and do they seem like they're real aware of everything that closing costs entail?
I'm actually surprised sometimes that buyers aren't aware of what is entailed with the closing costs, what all it involves, and how much they could potentially be needing to prepare to have at closing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I try to tell people it's not closing costs, it's cash to close because that kind of encompasses everything.
Yeah.
Once you've gone to contract with somebody,
Mhm.
you earnest money. What are some of the different things that are contributing to closing costs that are going on?
Okay. So yeah, once you write a contract, you'll be putting down your earnest money. And then aside from that, to prepare for what you would need for closing. Obviously, your down payment is a huge part of it. That is a huge part of your cash to close, as Tracy calls it. So there's basically it costs money to get a loan and to buy a house. So that means there's fees that are paid for your loan, for your lender, for your title company. You know, your
So
title
a lot of people working for you,
the title company is doing your title search, making sure that that
right?
title is free and clear of any liens or judgments. Super important. If your agent has this, you'll have a broker fee that's paid at closing, and then you are the expert on these. But like the prepaid items and the escrow, and then also there's some adjustments and prorations for things like your homeowners association, if there is one, and taxes. You should prepare not only for the cash to close, what you're going to need to bring to closing, but also you should be prepared for some things that you're going to have to pay along the way. So once you're under contract, between the time you're under contract and the time you close, there are some things that could potentially happen. A big one is inspections, like Tracy said. Generally, you'll pay those when the inspections happen. And it's not required to have an inspection, but we recommend it.
Recommend it. Yeah, and a survey potentially. You may have a fence in your backyard or be planning to do something with a fence and that kind of thing. It's always really important to get a survey. So depending on the property, you may decide to do just a spot survey or a full-blown survey. So those expenses are going to be in there as well, paid at closing typically.
Mm-hmm.
In general, from the lender side, we have the loan origination fee. That is what gets paid to the lender. So that's what my company would make, or any lender. And then you have the third party fees, which would be like the appraiser, if you had a survey, that kind of thing. And then you have the title company fees, which is going to run you around, $1,000 to $1,500. The loan origination fee is going to run around $1,000, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, depending on the type of product you're doing. But then the other odd fees that you were talking about at the beginning are the prepaids and the escrows, and people don't understand what some of that is sometimes, and they lump that into closing costs when really that's not a closing cost. That is, the escrow account is just a savings account for your property taxes and homeowners insurance to pay your next year's bill that you're going to collect monthly during your payment. But you're going to fund a little bit into that account when you close so that it has a balance of a few months in it. You're also going to pay prepaids, which is going to be your homeowner's insurance. You're going to pay upfront for the whole year, and that's going to be close to $1,000. And then you're going to also accrue interest for the note to the day of closing. So if you are not closing on the first day of the month or the last day of the month, it's going to be a partial month. They're going to accrue interest, and that's what that prepaid is. So those are the main things. Oh, and then we talked about briefly the loan charges for different types of products like FHA and VA. They have a fee to get into those programs, so you'll pay for that at closing too. So really, the down payment plus some of these other charges. The other charges are going to be $5,000 to $6,000 depending. I can give a general idea real quick. Like for about $150,000 purchase price home, if you were going conventional, that's going to cost about $13,000 to close if you're paying just the 5% down. If you're going FHA, it's going to cost you closer to $11,000 for closing. So, and that, can be broken up a lot of different ways if you get some seller paid closing costs, if you have some down payment assistance, but generally speaking, that's about how much you would have to have in the bank for a $150,000 home. So,
yeah. So for me, it's important that buyers are informed about how much to expect through this process, because if they cannot cover that, if they don't have cash, the proper amount of cash to close, then we will need to ask the sellers to pay some of their closing costs for them if they don't have the cash. So yeah, super important for buyers to get that sorted out before they get serious about purchasing.
Right. Yeah, I think the main thing is to go in it with a plan, right? And to get a loan estimate, understand what the cash to close is going to be, not just what the down payment is going to be. And then not all of those charges can we really foresee in advance, but we can get a pretty good idea and be very conservative about it. Helps you to enjoy the process more, when you're out with your realtor, you finally go to contract on a home, and not be surprised by all of the additional fees. You kind of know what's coming.